Hey, it's Ben, and welcome to the Upgraded Executive Podcast, where my good friend Nick and I discuss the tools, techniques, and strategies that you can use to upgrade your own personal and professional performance. We have recorded the first 10 shows, and we will be releasing these over the coming weeks, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. In this episode, Nick and I are discussing energy. Firstly, what are the causes and problems associated with low energy? And secondly, strategies and tools to consistently maintain high energy levels throughout the day.
Hey Ben, how you doing?
Yeah, great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. So today we're talking about energy.
We are.
Yeah, and it's a subject that I wrote a lot about in my book Limitless, and it's actually for me one of the key fundamentals around the things that we're talking about. And I know that the first two podcasts in the series were around sleep and stress, and I think the triangle of sleep, stress and energy is critical because, as we've spoken about previously, they all impact each other.
Yes. And we were saying offline, these three things are like a tripod that if you remove one of them, then the whole thing can fall over. So it's really important to nail these three aspects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to kick off then with the intro to the problem as we see it, Nick?
Yeah, so I think the problem from an energy point of view is that people don't know they have an issue until something becomes chronic. And by that I mean they've got low energy and therefore they get grumpy, or they've got low energy and they can't focus and they're not performing in work, or they've got low energy and then stress kicks in. They've got low energy and they're not sleeping very well. So the way that people generally feel now becomes their new norm. They just feel this is normal. I feel okay, because I've got loads of energy. But it's not until you can show people that there's a ceiling there and they can go through that ceiling and that their norm is their baseline and take to another level. They don't really get it until you can take them to that next level. So I think for me, one of the biggest challenges I have with clients is that they just don't know until you can take them to that different place, until they maybe get that call to action where something fundamental is happening in their life, which means that they feel they've got to address their energy levels.
Yeah, I agree. Again, from working with other people in my own experience, I say it creeps up on me. There's factors in life in terms of being busy with work, maybe having a commute or having kids, and it kind of compounds. And it's certainly crept up on me before, where I've had cycles of feeling energetic and feeling on it, feeling focused. But there's other times that it's a real effort to get out of bed, and I'm cranky and I'm tired, and I'm feeling like that for days or weeks or months, and then that just became the norm. And I didn't appreciate that. Again, there were strategies to alleviate that feeling and to really elevate my energy levels, but to me that was my normal, and that's not really normal.
I agree. And I think that one of the things I find with clients a lot is I ask them how are their energy levels towards the end of the working day, particularly towards the end of the working week. So one of the things I see with my clients, Ben, is that they have a really demanding week. They work really, really hard during the week. They get to a Friday, they're crawling through a Friday. They probably get to a Friday evening, they probably drink a little bit too much to try and de-stress. They then spend the whole weekend recharging. And they're not really present with their family because they're depleting their energy levels throughout the whole week in work. Then using the weekend to try and recharge before they go into another demanding week following week. They just feel that's normal. Because they see everybody around them doing a similar thing. In your experience, Ben, what would you say are the key indicators that people can look for which may indicate to them that their energy levels are not optimal?
It's a good question. So for me and people that I've worked with, lacking concentration and focus, even on some basic tasks that an earlier version of myself would have absolutely nailed, smashed out. It would have been easy. And I noticed that again. I think this was compounding and creeping up on me, but just really struggling just to do what I would have found easy previously, and been laser focused, focused on number one, complete, number two, with my brain is all over the place, and I'm just struggling to just complete tasks, as well as having a real draw to have a power nap at any point in the afternoon. So post lunch, and this is probably diet related as well, but having that crash, so having a spike of energy coupled with a real low in terms of I need to get some sleep. That's again not a conducive way to be during the day, because the knock-on impact of maybe having some sleep is not being able to get to sleep at a reasonable hour in the evening and being wired. That's where it's a perpetual downward cycle with a poor night's sleep, which then knocks on into the following day.
Yeah, I agree. The other things I've noticed, Ben, is people who are using willpower to get things done.
Yes.
Usually have some kind of energy issue going on. I think it leads into your point around procrastination and focus. I also think it's that, we mentioned this briefly earlier, but if you're getting cranky with people, and moody and snappy, that's definitely pointing towards something around your energy levels are not optimal. Plus, I think if you generally feel like you're having to reach for caffeine, or you're having to reach for sugar, then there's also something there around your energy levels. And I think that people can use these indicators to start thinking, am I really performing optimally? And if you struggle to identify these things, then they can just take some time to think about, how do I feel at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon? Am I as energized as I was in the morning?
Yes.
And am I ending the week as strong as I start the week?
And I think that those are really important points. Again, from own experience, it's not making the best choices, and tiredness is a facilitator to that. And using caffeine or bad food choices as an excuse because I'm tired. And again, this is a self-fulfilling perpetual downward spiral in terms of our tripod of stress, energy, and sleep. So that's why I've noticed it, and not making the best informed decisions because I'm tired.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point, because I think when you're low on energy and you're tired and you're stressed, you're not going to make good decisions. You're not going to make good decisions in work, in your business. You're not going to make good decisions on how you spend time with your family. And you're not going to make good decisions around your own personal health and performance.
No.
These small bad habits start creeping in because your energy's low and you haven't slept well and you're stressed. Is it worthwhile maybe just taking a couple of minutes to talk about energy and where it comes from, and also how we make energy and how it's intrinsic to not only our performance but also our longevity?
Yeah. Do you want to expand on mitochondria is?
Mitochondria, yeah, of course. So if you picture our bodies, we have 37 trillion cells in our bodies, which just can't even fathom that. And then basically in most of our cells in our bodies, I think apart from our red blood cells, there's something called mitochondria in each and every cell. And in each and every cell, there's something like between 1,000 and 2,000 mitochondria.
Yep.
So we've got, 76 quadrillion mitochondria in our bodies. And what mitochondria are, they look like, they have some of the same characteristics as bacteria. So They aren't exactly the same as bacteria, but they're very similar, so the same shape. They have their own DNA. They're about the same size. And evolutionary science believes that there is a symbiotic relationship between cells and mitochondria, and that was the formation of life. Okay, so mitochondria exist in all animals, they exist in plants too. Now, the thing with mitochondria is they're responsible for 85% of all of the energy production in our bodies. So if you can imagine, if you are giving the mitochondria everything they need to produce energy, and you're protecting them from the things that take energy away, you're going to start to feel your energy levels surge through the roof. Okay, and the critical thing with mitochondria is that they not only generate the energy in your body, but they're also responsible for signaling to the cells when to live and when to die.
So am I right in saying that if we look after mitochondria, that can potentially increase our lifespan?
Yeah, there's a huge amount of research now being done around mitochondria, and in particular anti-aging. So something that we don't talk a huge amount on this podcast, Ben, is sort of longevity and anti-aging.
Yes.
But it's very much linked, because if you're looking after your performance and your energy now,
yes,
it's going to lead to sort of longer term health benefits too.
Yes.
And yeah, absolutely. I think last time I looked, there were on PubMed.com, there were over 204,000 studies on mitochondria. That's just staggering. So yeah, it is definitely one of those areas now that is coming much more in the spotlight. And I've seen, if people think, what's this mitochondria stuff, and what are Nick and Ben even talking about, just go online and type in mitochondria, you start to see it popping up in the mainstream press now. This is a thing, and it's actually real.
The only thing that I would add to this, I have a real interest in epigenetics, which is how the environment influences cell behavior. Mm-hmm. And this goes back to when I've had my own mental challenges in terms of depression and anxiety. And it's my belief, and this is based on a lot of the work by Dr. Bruce Lipton around epigenetics and the studying of DNA and genes, that if a person can make themselves ill through thought alone, they can equally make themselves better. And I think for me, in terms of having an intention to have lots of energy during a day and to have focus really makes a difference. And so that would be my point to add in terms of this, that if previously I've gone in thinking I'm feeling really sluggish, I'm really lacking energy, that's probably what my day's going to be like. Nowadays, again, because I'm fascinated in terms of how the subconscious as well as the conscious mind works, and in terms of programming that's made a massive difference to me, and also some of the people that I've worked with as well, just in terms of reframing a negative thought into a positive thought with increasing what they're doing in terms of energy levels.
Yeah, I think epigenetics is a fascinating field, and I think that just because you have a genetic disposition, it doesn't mean that disposition is going to manifest itself unless there's some kind of trigger that makes it manifest. So
yeah, sure.
People go out and have their DNA sequence with a company like 23andMe, and then they get worried because they might have the Alzheimer's gene. Okay, but if you control your environment around you, and that includes your mindset, you've got a very good chance that gene will never express itself. It's not just positive mental thinking and that helping cure things inside you. When you're in a positive frame of mind and you're not being, you're not on that stress treadmill.
Yeah.
You've got the right hormones going through your body's in balance, your body's not acidic, and therefore your body's got a better chance of healing what's going on, either physically or mentally.
Yeah.
Because it's not worried about stress and the meeting next week, and your body's not fighting the cortisol and our stress response. It's thinking about, oh, okay, there's something going on physically that I need to address.
That is a nice segue actually into what people can do in terms of solutions. And I'm sure people are thinking, do you know what, Nick, that's great. I get mitochondria. I get that my body needs to produce more. How do I do that? So should we talk around solutions that people can implement in terms of their daily lives and what they look like?
Yeah, that's a great idea, Ben. I think for me, the place where I always start with this is the really obvious place, and that's around diet. Okay, and people will experience times where they have something for lunch.
Yep.
And an hour and a half later, 2 hours later, the habits crash.
Yep.
And then they're reaching for some caffeine or some sugar. Now, diet, nutrition is like, I always joke about when you have a dinner party, people would always say, never talk about sex, religion, or politics. Another one is nutrition, because people fight their corner really aggressively in terms of, this is the right diet. I feel great when I'm doing X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, having a view that there's one diet that suits everybody is just bullshit. It is, you have to, in my view, eat what makes you feel great.
Yes.
And by really starting to notice how you feel after you eat, you then start to get a really great understanding of, here are the foods that give me loads of energy, and here are the foods that take my energy away.
Yeah.
And I think that for me is probably one of the most fundamental things that people can do. Start to think about, how do they start eating the food that takes their energy levels through the roof and doesn't bring them crashing down?
Yeah. I know you talk around this in your book, and it's a great insight to share and for people to take away, which is, how do I feel after I've eaten something? And I mean, this isn't rocket science. If I have a load of chocolate, how am I going to feel afterwards? I'm probably going to have a slight peak in terms of my energy levels, followed by a crash. And that was one of the takeaways actually from your book that was super helpful. There's loads of insights which are gold. But that really resonated, because it's a really easy takeaway to remember. Just, how do I feel after I've eaten something? And again, it's not rocket science. I know if I'm eating something that's not good for me, I probably shouldn't be doing it. I shouldn't be doing it in excess, and it doesn't feel good. And I think that's now a physical response as well as a mental response. But I've moved on to a plant-based diet, and that's made a huge difference. And we spoke about this in one of the other podcasts towards the end. So I like blending. Personally, I'm quite lazy when it comes to food preparation, so I'll buy all the ingredients in, and typically these don't have a label on them, and they don't have a long shelf life, and they're organic, and they're green, and then I'll blend them up. And then I've got breakfast, lunch, and potentially an afternoon snack already prepared. So it's really easy and convenient for me. And I feel great if I'm having those. So that's what's worked for me. And I've been doing that consistently for maybe 3 months. And it's also had a knock-on effect in terms of losing quite a lot of weight that I was carrying, as well as having or increasing my energy levels throughout the day.
Yeah, I think there is a huge movement now around being vegan. Okay, and I think it's great. And as an alternative to the standard British diet, there's just no comparison. I believe you're probably better off being a vegan than you are eating processed junk food.
Yeah.
I think that in my experience, people longer term tend to benefit more from being on a plant-based diet, but having a small to medium amount of very high quality animal protein, where the animal hasn't been fed antibiotics, it's only ever been fed grass, etc.
Yes.
I find people longer term benefit from that modality better. But as I said at the start, you've got to do what is right for you, because what is for you isn't going to be right for me. And just to give you an example, Ben, it's taken me, so I lost a huge amount of weight really, really quickly on a ketogenic diet, okay?
Yes.
And it benefited me massively. And I'm probably eating clean 90-95% of the time. The big revelation for me in the last 6 months is that some of the weight gains are creeping on. And it's because I'm sensitive to lectins. Now, you probably aren't. 1 in 4 people have some kind of sensitivity, and what lectins are, they're the protein in nightshade vegetables that my body just doesn't like. So when I eat potatoes, tomatoes, aubergine, peppers, chilies, I get bloated.
Yeah.
I get brain fog.
Yeah.
And in the morning, I'll probably weigh between 3 and 4 pounds heavier. So my body then has to spend 2 or 3 days getting rid of that inflammation.
Yes.
Before I'm back to normal.
Yes.
And since I've been very religious on stripping out, like literally having nothing that is potato based.
Yeah.
I found that my energy levels are more consistently high, yes. And also I'm starting to drop the weight once again.
Yes.
So that is the reason for sharing that is that that's quite an unusual thing. You know, tomatoes are a superfood.
Yes.
But not for me. But it might be for lots of other people. So this is where people need to get in tune with their body and understand what's going on. And there's a few ways that they can do that. Not only just listening to their bodies, but if you weigh yourself every morning, if you get a spike in weight, you can think about, what did I eat or drink yesterday?
Yeah.
Maybe making me inflamed. If you measure your heart rate will spike up to about 16 beats per minute higher within 19 minutes of eating something that you shouldn't have eaten, because your body's then trying to fight it. So those are 2 very easy things that people can do to identify the foods that may be taking their energy levels down. One
other point that I think is worth mentioning, I think we both agree with this, is we're not advocating 100%. Is absolutely fine and right to have enjoyable meals out with friends and family, and if one would like a drink, then not to feel guilty and enjoy drinking as well, in moderation.
Doing it, I think, is when you sort of fall into the habit of, say, grabbing that chocolate bar because you need the energy level, you need the surge in energy, and it's not intentional. I think that's the part that I think that people need to think about and focus on. And I think we need people to live here. It's, I think, as long as you're doing, it's the 80-20 rule.
Yes.
I'm a bit more obsessive, isn't the word, but I'm a lot more conscious now around the food that really does hit me hard.
Yes.
The food that I'm okay with.
Yes.
So, I will go out and have a pizza with a sourdough, gluten-free base with butternut squash and some things on top, and maybe a bit of cheese, because I know that I'll probably do that once every 6 weeks, and I won't feel great after it, but I'll feel okay. And as long as I know I've not got anything that I have to do that requires a lot of energy and deep work, then that's fine. But I'll avoid potato like the plague now, because sure. I know that really hits me hard.
Yeah. I'm smiling when you said about reaching for a Mars bar. So some of this goes again into how our subconscious is programmed, and habitual bad habits, which is, I'm tired, and this is what the subconscious could be saying, which is, I'm tired, I'm going to reach for that. So you're not actively thinking about reaching for a chocolate bar. That's just how the brain's wired. So some of the people that I work with, it's deinstalling some old beliefs and installing some new beliefs. That is okay and fun to have a salad, for example, and that might be their go-to. as opposed to a chocolate bar.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
again, I'm smiling because I was like this previously before. I was au fait with conscious and subconscious and how it all worked and why I had some of the habits that I did. And they were my go-to habits without even thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we talk around caffeine and the game changer that we think is Bulletproof Coffee?
Yeah, so we mentioned caffeine at the start of it. We mentioned caffeine at the start of the show, and I think that caffeine is, along with nicotine, it's the oldest nootropic. Okay, and there's a reason why we like caffeine, because it lights our brains up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So for me, caffeine is a good thing, but in moderation. And Bulletproof Coffee is something that really got me on this journey. I found Bulletproof Coffee, then I found the Bulletproof Diet, became a Bulletproof coach, and then really started going deep into human optimization and performance. Do you want to describe what Bulletproof Coffee is, Ben?
So I on my virtuous chair dropped coffee about 18 months ago and noticed that I was really sluggish. So I reintroduced it about 6 months ago. But I stumbled over Bulletproof Coffee on the internet, and it's so how I have it is so caffeine, some organic butter, and coconut oil as a mix.
Yep.
I know there's other ingredients that you use and other people advocate, and it is transformational in terms of my focus and energy levels. It's literally like somebody's turned me from a 3 or a 4 up to a 9 or a 10. And I remember the first day that I took it 6 months ago, I was in the zone for about 11 hours. And I can't remember when I've been like that before. I think I was saying to you, it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I was completely back and my energy levels weren't fluctuating at all. I just had clarity, focus, and again, I'm thinking from a work perspective because it was during the day. I had my first one early on in the morning, and it was easy and it was fun again. So I haven't looked back in terms of having them, but I know there's other things that you can expand on that you use and other people use in terms of them.
Yeah, which coconut oil do you use, Ben? Is it just a generic coconut oil, or is it a specific one?
MCT.
MCT. Is that the Bulletproof one, or is there a different brand?
It's a different brand.
Yeah, okay, so I'll give you the sort of the official definition on the Bulletproof Coffee. So if you listen to Dave Asprey, you'd say, this is the perfect Bulletproof coffee. And I agree with him. Then maybe we can talk about some of the other things that you can do around it too. So the official definition of a Bulletproof coffee is to have coffee that is toxin free, that has been tested, that has no mold toxins within the coffee. And I think that's more of an issue in America than it is in Europe generally. But you want to have a good quality coffee, and Bulletproof sell their own brand of coffee. So you make the coffee, you put into the coffee a tablespoon of grass-fed, grass-finished butter. So in the UK, I use Kerrygold. Okay. You then add a tablespoon of Bulletproof make a special MCT oil called brain octane oil. So you put a tablespoon of brain octane in, you put that in the cup, and then you blend the coffee. Okay, you have to blend the coffee for around about 30 seconds, otherwise it just looks like an oil slick. And what it produces is like a latte type coffee that is quite smooth. But what I find is, because it's good quality coffee, the secret is with the brain octane oil, is that it just lights your brain up.
Yep.
And you're right, it does turn you from a 4 to an 8, 9, 10.
Yes.
And I think it's so powerful that I would say to people, you probably sat there going, butter in coffee with coconut oil, really? Disgusting. Try it, because once you try it, you will find this mental clarity that comes that you've never experienced before. And if you find that it's a little bit too sickly, maybe just put half the butter in or a quarter of the butter in, because the real benefit is in the brain octane oil.
Yep.
Because whilst it is a MCT oil, it's a specially refined version of MCT oil called caprylic acid. It's often referred to as C8 MCT. Okay, and because of the length of the change of the fatty acids in C8, your brain is able to process that a lot faster. And going back to our whole conversation around mitochondria make a lot more energy off fatty acids than they do glucose. That's exactly what the MCT oil is, what the brain octane oil is. So you've got 10 times more mitochondria in your brain than anywhere else. So that's why when you drink a Bulletproof coffee, your brain just lights up.
It reminded me, drinking this, of the film Limitless with Bradley Cooper, where he pops the NZT pill and it allows him to access 100% of his brain. I'm definitely not saying it does that, but it reminded me in terms of I'm tired. It's the start of the day to, wow, I am totally on it, and I'm going to have a great day. And I had a huge amount of energy and focus. It's a no-brainer from my point of view. I would say it's life-changing.
It is, absolutely.
It's been part of the process, but it's a real linchpin in terms of what's going on now with my life. Should we talk around water consumption? Because that's quite an important part of this as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think water and oxygen are involved in the mitochondria cycle to produce energy. So not having enough water and not having enough oxygen in your bodies is going to really hamper your body's ability to be able to make enough energy regardless of what fuel you bring in your body.
Yeah, I also think so. If I'm drinking water, as I should be in terms of my daily intake, I make better food choices. And I'm not looking for water to fill me up, but it does. It certainly, when I was looking at refining what I was eating, it was definitely helping with making better food choices in terms of not being absolutely famished.
Yeah, I think water's naturally going to fill you up.
Yeah.
So that's definitely going to help. I think the recommendations are that we should be drinking between 3 and 4 liters every day.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to the bathroom too often, then you're drinking too much, and vice versa. So again, it's about listening to your body and giving your body what it needs when it actually needs it.
Can you just explain for 10 seconds, Nick, the water flask that you've got, and just a very quick overview?
Yes, this water flask is from a company called Equa. See if it flashes up. Yes, it flashes. And what the water flask does is it basically monitors how much water that I'm drinking. So if I'm not drinking enough water, it basically sends me a reminder and the bottom flashes up.
Yep.
I'm then able to look at an app on my phone and see how much water I'm drinking on any given day. And it's very effective to get me thinking about, am I really drinking enough water? Particularly when you get yourself in a very, when I put myself in a flow state and I'm in deep creative work, then I can lose hours. And if I'm not careful, I won't drink enough.
Yes.
So it's quite an effective reminder prompt. And it's actually quite a big bottle too.
Yeah.
I think as a rule of thumb, if you drink a pint of water in the morning and then, one before lunch, one before dinner, you've got 2 liters inside you without even thinking.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb.
And also from a breathing point of view, start thinking about how much you're breathing through your mouth versus breathing through your nose.
Yes.
Start trying to get as much oxygen in your body as possible, because when you take some time to take some deep breaths in through your nose,
Yes.
You start to feel more energized
Yes.
because you're flooding your body with oxygen, and therefore your mitochondria can make the energy more efficiently.
It's worth people having a look at the Wim Hof app. Wim Hof's an amazing guy, a Dutch guy, and he set loads of world records. He's been up, he didn't summit, but he's been up Everest in his shorts.
Yeah.
He got frostbite on his toe, so he had to come back down. But longest time in the coldest ice bath. He's run a marathon with no training, again in his shorts, in the Arctic and the Sahara. But he's got a free app, which is great in terms of stretching, but breathing exercises.
Mm-hmm.
And we mentioned it in the first two podcasts, and we're going to mention it again in terms of a warm and a cold shower and some kind of impact from being in the cold.
Mm.
1, aids sleep, 2, reduces stress, and 3, it increases energy levels as well.
It does, yeah. It does massively, and I think that I've been criticised online for talking about the power of a cold shower and saying, well, give me the science behind it and the peer-reviewed studies, etc. Well, they just don't exist, and just because something doesn't exist from a scientific research point of view doesn't mean that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think if with all these things and everything that we talk about, go out, try it, decide for yourself. If it works, brilliant. If it works and it's placebo, who cares?
Yeah.
It works. So, I think cold showers for me really raise my energy levels in the morning.
Yeah.
And you start stacking things on top, like a cold shower, bulletproof coffee, the right supplements. You start the day feeling amazing.
We both like the line aggregation of marginal gains.
Yes.
And that's what all of these are. That if you do one, it's sometimes a small win or a larger win, but when you start adding them up, then they really do compound to being a better version of yourself and increasing personal and professional performance. That's why we're here and why we're doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love. I'll go back to what you said in the book. How with food, but this translates with all the stuff that we're advocating and we're doing ourselves as well as with our own clients. How does it make one feel after they've done it? If you have a cold shower and you think it's not for you, that's cool. I don't think that will be the case. So
no,
worth trying.
No, I think it's I know many people that dread the thought of starting a cold shower routine. But actually, once they get into it, they get used to it and they feel the benefits. Now, I think, I can't remember the last day that I didn't have a cold shower to start the day. And do I enjoy it? No. But do I enjoy the benefits? Yes. So it's worth the 1 minute pain for me, for the benefits I get throughout the whole day.
I'm smiling again. I've got my close school friends we started off a WhatsApp group about 7-8 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sharing insights, and it's great to keep each other motivated. And one of the chaps said that he had a cold shower from start to finish. And I was thinking, damn you, that means I've got to do that now. He's like, no, I just didn't have any hot water. But I started doing that 2 weeks ago. So that's quite mentally difficult. But again, it's great upside. I'm feeling awesome when I've come out of it. It's not particularly a long shower. Again, I'm not standing on a virtuous box going, it's for 10 minutes and I'm completely freezing cold. It's quite short, but it's lukewarm now to cold as opposed to hot to cold.
Many of the listeners would have come across Tony Robbins. He's the American motivational speaker.
Yes.
So in each of his houses throughout the world, he has a cold plunge pool.
Yes.
For this exact reason. He jumps in a cold plunge pool. He jumps back out, and that's part of him priming his day.
Yeah.
He's now upgraded to cryotherapy chambers in his homes, and they're £80,000 a pop, which isn't really affordable for everybody. But a cold shower is free. You can do it in the morning. It doesn't cost you anything.
No.
Ben, something that is also worthwhile talking about is that we've all we may be eating what makes us feel great. We might be having the right level of supplements. We might be having cold showers in the morning and minimizing stress and sleep, but we all get to points at some point where we feel flat.
Yes.
That our energy levels have dipped away for some reason. And it could be anything from maybe we've eaten that salad and there's something in the salad we didn't realize was there that has impacted our energy levels, or there could be something in our environment that is quite toxic, like mold or smoke or something that hits us, or there might be some kind of virus, our body's fighting something off.
Yeah.
Or it could just be that we're under a significant amount of stress and we don't know in the moment. So therefore we go, oh, I feel just don't feel quite right.
Yeah.
And we've experienced that. The listeners will probably experience that quite a lot too. So, what can you do to bring you back to normal when you hit those circumstances? And I think for me, there's been one thing that is my go-to thing time and time again that brings my energy levels back up to where they normally are. And that's taking a supplement that contains 2 ingredients, one called coenzyme Q10, another one called PQQ, and that's got a much longer name that I can't even pronounce, so I'm just going to call it PQQ. What CoQ10 does is it helps your mitochondria make energy more efficiently.
Yeah.
And the PQQ helps your body grow more mitochondria. Okay. So when you take a supplement that has CoQ10 and PQQ, what happens is you have this surge of very quiet energy. So it's not like a sugar rush or a caffeine hit, or you go, wow, I have a massive amount of clarity. You just stop yawning. You're just able to focus. You can get things done. You no longer feel fatigued. The words seem to drop from your head to your tongue a lot easier. And so there aren't many products on the market. The product I use, I actually import from the US that I use myself personally and also my clients. Bulletproof do make a product in this area. I don't put any affiliate fees, but it's the only one you can buy easily in the UK, and it's called Unfair Advantage.
Great name.
It's a brilliant name, isn't it? Dave Asprey is a brilliant marketer. But it really does help you get that unfair advantage. And what I always recommend to my clients is to take this supplement when you're a bit of a low ebb, because it just brings you back to normal. I know some people take it every day just as part of their standard supplement stack, but given it's relatively expensive, actually, compared to a cup of coffee, it's not expensive.
Sure.
But I certainly find it's a lot more impactful when I take the supplement when I need it. And I think that this particular supplement probably falls somewhere between a supplement and a nootropic or smart drug.
Yeah.
Because it does give you that mental clarity.
What do? I do 2 things. If I'm able to, I'll go outside and go for a walk. I mean, that's brilliant, just in terms of if I am feeling a bit low or a bit blue, like that's an instant light switch in terms of let's get the endorphins going, and it's really good for getting back into the present and getting some energy. Or I'll go and push some weights. The other thing that I do, I'm a psych-k qualified facilitator. I'll do a balance on my subconscious in terms of, as I was saying before, an intention or I have loads of energy moving forward. So I'll do a balance on myself, talking to my subconscious, which is an instant change as well.
Brilliant. I think one of the things that's really helped me with my energy levels too, Ben, is fasting.
Yes.
So I've been doing intermittent fasting now for 2 or 3 years. So probably 5, maybe 6 days a week. I'll have my last meal at 8 o'clock at night.
Yes.
I'll have my next meal at 2 o'clock the next afternoon. So then I'm fasting for what's that? I'm fasting for 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
I'll do probably a 24-hour fast, probably at least once a week.
Yes.
I do a 3-day fast once a quarter. And what fasting does for me is it basically takes away the need for food. Okay. So I very rarely get to a point where I'm hungry and I need to eat food to give me energy.
Yeah.
And it's because when you get into the routine of fasting, you become something called fat adapted. And therefore, when your body needs energy, it can take the fat from your body fat. So it can take, when your body needs energy, it takes the fat from your fat stores, converts that into fatty acids, much like the coconut oil, MCT oil in the Bulletproof Coffee. It uses those ketones then to then power your mitochondria. So what you find is the more that you get into a fasted state, the more you become fat adapted, the less you need, particularly the less you need sugar and that carby hit.
Yeah, I've I don't know if played is the right word, but I've had days and weeks where I've been fasting. And I think if people are put off by it initially, you're in a fasted state when you go to sleep and then when you get up. So if one wants to copy what Nick's doing, is quite straightforward to skip breakfast to start off with and then move on to dropping lunch. And then you're in quite a long period of fasted state from when you went to sleep to at some point in the afternoon to having a meal. Nick, do you have anything in the water that you're drinking when you're in a fasted state? So do you have anything that's magnesium based, for example?
What I tend to do is if I'm doing a 24-hour fast,
yeah,
I don't tend to put anything in the water because I know, for me now, 24 hours isn't that long to go without food. If I'm doing a 3-day fast, I'll add some pink Himalayan salt,
yes,
which helps with salt and electrolytes. Plus, I'll also put a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in the water too. But that's all I tend to put in the water. I don't when I'm fasting. When I'm doing the intermittent fasting during the week, I will have a bulletproof coffee in the morning.
yes.
Oh, some people claim that breaks you fast. I think that whilst it does break you fast slightly, what it doesn't do is it doesn't spike your insulin. Okay, so you're still keeping your insulin low.
Yes.
But what I will do, if I'm doing a 3-day fast, I won't have anything apart from the water. I won't even have the bulletproof coffee because I do those 3-day fasts for more of a longevity benefit.
Yes.
Because as we were saying earlier, your cells accumulate junk.
Yeah.
And when you go into a fasted state, your body is using the junk in the cells for energy and recycling those parts of cells to make other cells.
Yeah.
And it's a process called autophagy.
Yeah.
And the science is now catching up with ancient religions. And we now understand why these religions have been fasting for thousands and thousands of years, and it's because of the benefits that come from autophagy. You hear a lot around. I have quite a few Muslim friends, and when they do Ramadan, they talk about you're cleansing your body.
Yes,
and that's exactly what autophagy is. You're cleansing your body at a cellular level.
It's great for a natural detox. There's a couple of things that are worth people looking at. And when I've done this, so I've done a 24-hour, a 48-hour, a 72-hour wet fast. Most of it's in my mind, and it's okay. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to run out of energy, especially if I'm carrying some body weight. But most of it was in my head, just in terms of, well, I need to eat. And I didn't. Once I got over that, it was straightforward. And I didn't just go into a 48-hour wet fast. I built up to it, So I might have started with a 12-hour, then going to a 16, then a 24. So I personally built up for it. And the difference between a wet and a dry fast, and I've done a couple of dry fasts just to experience what they're like. So a pure dry fast, and I didn't do a pure dry fast, is where no water touches somebody's lips or bodies. I did a semi-dry fast, which is where I could brush my teeth and have a shower, but not have anything to eat or drink for 2 days. And a wet fast is having as much liquid as one would like, but no food. There's lots of stuff around WOMAD, 1 meal a day.
Yes,
that's worth looking at as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of 1 meal a day, and I tend to try and do that. That's how I do my 24-hour fasts.
Yeah,
because you're having just the 1 meal a day. I think one thing, just as a word of caution to the listeners, I think something that you mentioned there, Ben, was really important, and that's to build up slowly. So maybe just start with a 10 hours, go to 12 hours, go to 14 hours. If you've been living a heavy carb lifestyle, you are going to find it tough to fast. In the story, and you're going to need to build it up, because you're going to start having carb cravings. You might start to feel a bit weak, because what happens is that your body isn't fat adapted. Your body is not used to burning fat for fuel, so it has to go back and learn how it does that. So it can take people between 4 and 6 weeks to get fat adapted.
Yep.
So my advice is go really slowly. Don't push yourself. You can just build up, because when you do become fat adapted and you have the metabolic flexibility to burn fat or carbs, then your energy levels go through the roof, and you never end up in a situation where you're craving food for energy. Yeah. And that's quite a powerful place to be. So then there's one more thing around energy that I think is probably worthwhile the listeners, viewers thinking about is what's going on biologically. Yeah. Okay. Now I'd say half of my clients have had a vitamin D deficiency. Okay? Because we live in the Northern Hemisphere, we don't get enough sunlight, particularly during the winter months, and therefore the vitamin D levels have been very low, and therefore they've had to supplement with vitamin D. Okay, so that is one thing to really look out for. And the second thing is other biomarkers such as vitamin B12. Now, I've got a genetic disposition where I don't process or recycle vitamin B12 very well. Okay. I would never have known that if I hadn't done my DNA test. Sure. And that then I then went and had some blood work done, which then proved that my vitamin B12 levels were on the lower side. Okay. According to the doctor, I was normal. I was in the normal range. I was on the low end of the normal range. So I supplement with vitamin B12, and I see it's a lot with clients too, where their vitamin B12 levels can often be really low, and therefore their energy is through the floor. Yeah. What would we say are our top 3 to 5 takeaways from this session? I think for me, Ben, is definitely eat the foods that make you feel great. Yep. I think also there is, when you're in a flat moment, where your energy has fallen through the floor, consider a supplement such as the Unfair Advantage from Bulletproof. Yep. And I think for me then there is getting yourself outside, getting in the sunlight, and also go to your doctor, have the blood work done, and find out what's going on inside you, particularly around your vitamin D and vitamin B12 levels. Yep. Those would be my top 3. Those are also my top 3. I'll add Bulletproof Coffee was a game changer for me. Yeah. Getting a good night's sleep and controlling my stress levels. These are all interlinked, but I would add those as well. Oh, and one final one, which is exercising regularly, be it weights, running, walking, and that goes with being outside and also calming down the mind. Absolutely. Good. Great. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Ben. Cheers.
Thank you for listening, and we hope that you enjoyed this show. You can find the video, audio, and detailed show notes at www.upgradedexecutive.com. At the end of this 10-episode podcast series, we will send all of our subscribers an exclusive ebook which summarizes everything that Nick and I discuss on the shows. Be sure to leave your details on our website. You can also find us on all of the social platforms at Connect with UE.